what is a nested document? We all know what is a document, but what is a nested document? It's like a document present within another document. So this is one document you're seeing. It starts from here to here. You have an object ID, you have name field, and then you have this cat1, which itself is a document. So you see this cat1 is a document having key value pairs. So you have a document nested within another document. So this is called a nested document in MongoDB. So in MongoDB, the documents take up very complex structures. So you can have an array of nested documents. You can have arrays within nested documents. You have documents nested within nested documents. So the complexity, there is no end to complexity when you talk about the documents in MongoDB. And when the documents become complex, the queries also turn more and more complex. And the strategies that we have to adapt to pull data out of these queries also vary. So today we are going to work with a document like this. We'll see how to create this document in a collection, and we'll take up some exercises. For instance, this has got the name of a student and the marks he has scored in the CAT1 internal assessment examination. So what we are going to do here is we are going to take up some queries like this. Display the marks scored by Satish. Say all the CAT1 marks I want to know for this student Satish. And display the marks of all students in English alone. So now we are querying the nested document. Say I want to know the marks of all students with respect to English alone in CAT1. So within CAT1, I want the English marks alone. So how to query that? So such kind of queries we are going to take up today's class. Display all the students who have scored less than 40 in maths. Display the total students who have scored greater than 10 in chemistry. And this is like having a range. So we have so many students who have scored marks in maths and chemistry. So we want to query the nested documents by providing a range. Display the total marks of all students. So here, when I talk about total, obviously we are talking about some aggregation concept coming inside. So how can we apply the concepts of aggregation pipeline with nested documents? Total marks of all students in the English subject. So what is the total of all the marks corresponding to the English subject in CAT1? Display the maximum marks scored in chemistry subject. Again, when I talk about max, we can go with the aggregate concept in the aggregation pipeline, and then we'll be able to find what is the maximum marks scored in a particular subject in CAT1, and display the total marks scored by each student. So this is a very tricky question. Say when you talk about this kind of a document, the question here is for every student, display the total marks. So you have to sum up maths, chemistry, and English and display the total marks. So for Satish, the total marks is 100. Say if there is another document by name Ram, then what is the total marks for Ram? Like that, you can also take up another query wherein we can also compute the average marks for every student. So you take every document and then you go and access all the fields in the nested document, find the sum and average of the values and throw the documents out. So this kind of an exercise we are going to code now. I'll tell you how to achieve these exercises. So now let us work on the solution for all those exercises we have considered. So what is the first thing? Display all the CAT1 marks of the student by name Satish. So let me first show you this collection I have created, db.student.find. This is the collection having some 2 documents, and each document is internally having another nested document. So we have registration number, name. So cat1, you see cat1 is the nested document, maths, chemistry, and English. Likewise, we have another student, Ram, and again, yes, cat1 marks. So 2 documents, each document is having a nested document in turn. So if I want to insert a nested document in a collection, how will I do that? It's nothing but db.collectionname.insert. And then it's a normal thing. You just give, say, name. We can give some name here, Tom. And okay, I have a registration number field too. Let me just fill registration number. Say I'll give some 1, 2, 3. So here the registration number is a duplicate thing. Maybe I reused the query earlier, and we can have a name field. Name can be some field like Tom, and this one. So now you're going to insert the cat1 marks for this guy Tom. So how you're going to do that is, this is where the key value pair comes in. So we're going to have, we can just say, and then we'll give some 20 marks in max. And in the next subject we have is chemistry. We can have some 30 marks, or let's have some other marks, 63 marks in chemistry. And English comes up. English, let's say this guy scored only 2 marks, and we close this parenthesis, and then we have to close the next parenthesis. And so the number of parentheses you opened, you have to close. Let's see whether I'm able to insert this. Yeah. So now if I go and do db.student.find and dot pretty2, we can have. So now you see I have inserted a nested document. So registration number 123, name is Tom, and he has a nested document containing all the marks of his cat1 examination. So that's how you create a document having nested document. You can also have another document nested within this document. So any levels of nesting is fine. So now what we'll do is we'll take up the query. So I want to find all the cat1 marks of Satish. How to perform that is nothing but db.student.find, and the search criteria here is name is corresponding to Satish. So you just give this name as Satish, and then yeah, it's going to throw the entire record out. That is the marks scored by Satish. Suppose you want to find, or you want to display only the cat marks and the name. What is that you have to do? You have to go with a project, that is db.student.find, and then you have this name to be Satish. So that is the search criteria. And what else we are going to have? We are going to project. Say we want only cat1 to be, maybe name to be displayed and cat1 marks to be displayed. Something like this we'll try. Let's see what happens. So now we have only the name field and cat1 marks displayed for this particular student Satish. You can also suppress the ID by just giving ID colon 0. So that's how you're able to bring in all the contents matching a record for a nested document. I hope you're able to follow this. Okay, let's go and take the next query. What is the next query? That is display the English marks alone scored by every student in cat1. I'll just type it here. Display the English marks scored by every student in cat1. So we have to query and find out what is the English mark for all these students. Let me try this query here, db.student.find, and then it's going to be for every student, so no particular search criteria, but we are going to project something, that is English marks in cat1. So how you access English within this nested document is we just give the name, that is cat1, right? We are going to access cat1, and then what mark? We are going to give a dot and then say English. So that's how we access fields inside the nested document, and you have to put that within quotes like this. It's important and it's mandatory. And then we project only the English marks. So just, so that's how you access a field within a nested document. Now we will see, yeah. So you see we are just projecting the English marks in cat1, and I think for 2 students, Ram and Tom, I have given English to be 2. So that's why we're getting 22, 2. So now we know how we access a field within a nested document inside our collection. The next query is very simple. You can very well write this, display the chemistry mark scored by student named Satish. Yeah, Satish is not a student, but anyway. Say this is this question. Display the chemistry marks scored by a student named Satish. In Cat 1, yeah, obviously this is with respect to Cat 1 examination. Can you write the query for this? It's well understood by now. So we are going to do db.student.find, and we're not going to, yeah, we're going to have a search criteria. The search criteria is name is Satish. So only for Satish, we're going to bring the record. And what we are going to project for this guy, chemistry marks. So we give in quotes cat1 dot chemistry. How you access chemistry? It's within cat1, so it's cat1 dot chemistry, and then you project it, and you close the parenthesis. So now chemistry marks for Satish is 30. That's what it says. Let's go and verify that whether Satish scored 30 marks in chemistry. Yeah, Satish has scored 30 marks in chemistry. So that's how you search and also fetch a field within a nested document. We'll move forward. Let's take up the next query. The next query is display all those students who have scored greater than 50 marks in maths. So this is the query: display all the students who have scored greater than 50 marks in maths. I'm just typing it here because I don't want to stop screen sharing and jump between screens here. So I'm just typing it here. Display all the students who have scored greater than 50 marks in maths. So now you have a condition that should be spawning across all the fields in the nested document. Let's see how to write this query. It's very simple. It's db.student.find, the student table. It's for all the students, so no search here. But then we have a condition that is for all the students in which subject? It is in the max subject. So on the max subject, we have a condition. What condition we are going to have? We are going to do the mark should be less than 50. So bring me all the students who have scored less than 50 marks in cat1.max, because cat1 is the nested document we have. Now let's close it. Let's hope this query works. Have I closed all the parentheses here? No. You see I'm missing a parenthesis here. Okay. Oh, there's some issue, as I was afraid. I have some issue here. Did I actually, this is a search criteria, I guess. Cat1 dot max is less than 50. This is not a project criteria. Let me try this one. Yeah, there was a mistake that I have made. See, actually this is a search criteria. It's not a project criteria, right? So it's cat1 dot max less than 50. So Ram, you see in max how much he has scored? 20, and this guy Tom in max he has scored 20. So we have identified two students who have scored less than 50 in the max subject. So that is the thing. I made a mistake here. I just gave it as a project, but actually it's a search condition. Okay, and can you take up a similar query like this? Can you write a query and display all the students who have scored greater than 10 marks in chemistry? Display the documents of all the students who have scored greater than 10 marks in chemistry. Yeah. Can you write this? It's very exactly similar like what we have done earlier, but except for a $LT, you're going to give a $GT. Can we perform this? So it's going to be all the students who have scored greater than 10 in chemistry. It's db.student.find, and it's a search criteria in which cat1.chemistry. So the mark should be greater than how much? 10. So let's close two parentheses. So we have Satish was scored 30, and we have 63 marks scored by Tom. Okay, Ram has scored only 10 marks in chemistry, so is excluded from this search. I hope you guys were able to follow this simple search criteria wherein we are searching a nested document by just using the dot operator. Yeah. Okay, so next comes challenging query. Not a challenging query, we have to use the aggregate method here. The query is display the total marks scored in English by all the students. You have to just sum up all the English marks for all the students and display it. Total marks. So take every document, take the English field, take the value and sum it up, finally throw the sum. So here we are finding some aggregation. Obviously, we're going to use the aggregation pipeline here. So we'll see how to write this query. We'll have db.student.aggregate because we are going to use the aggregation pipeline. And the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm only focused on the English marks. So I'm going to project the English marks out. I don't need any of the fields. Okay, just a moment. I forgot to log out. Okay. The very first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to project all the English marks out because I don't worry about all the other fields. I want to just find the sum of all the English marks. So for that, we are going to use the stage project. And what we are going to project, we are going to project the English marks. How will you project that? cat1 dot English. Please give the quotes, it's important, and you give a 1. So we are projecting all the English marks out. So once when I have projected, what I can do is I can go with a group. Next, what I have to do is I have to group. What I'm going to group is I'm just going to find the sum of all the English marks. So here, since I'm projecting only English, all the English marks comes out. Now I have to just group it. I mean, I have to just find the sum. So here the ID, I'm not going to use any ID for grouping. I'm not going to group it by any name or registration number, right? So ID is null and total marks. Total marks, how will you find the total? You have to use $sum. And we have already learned how to use $sum in the aggregation pipeline in your previous classes. So that's what I'm using here. And what we are going to sum, we are going to sum cat1 dot English. That's it. This is where we are going to apply, and then you close all the parentheses and then the brackets. This should give me the sum of all the English marks for all the students out. Let's hope this works. Oh God, this says total marks to be null. I don't know what is the issue is. Let me check it up. So where is that I have gone wrong? It's cat1 dot English. That's what I am projecting. Okay. And dollar group ID is equal to null.
Sir, dollar
Yes.
cat1 dot English.
Sir, dollar cat1
Yes,
dot
yes, yes,
English.
yes. Thank you for telling me that. I forgot this dollar here. Yeah. Now it should work fine. Yeah. Thank you, guys and girls too. db dot. Yeah. Let me just go to this students dot find and check whether really db, check whether it is really 24. 22 plus 2 is 24, right? So total marks is 24. So what is the error that I have done and you have pointed out is I forgot to give this dollar here. Pretty bad mistake. Anyway, so thanks for telling me that and we are able to find the aggregate. I hope you guys were able to follow this small simple query. The next query is kind of easy, very similar like this. Display the maximum mark scored in chemistry. You have to display the maximum marks scored in chemistry. How to do that? Very similar like what we have done. We have find the sum now. We have to just use the max operator here. So display the maximum marks scored in chemistry in cat1. So this thing is db.student.aggregate. So you're going to use the aggregate command. And the very first thing is we're going to project only chemistry marks out because we are not worried about the other marks. So let me project the chemistry marks here. So you have to give cat1 dot chemistry and then colon 1. So we have projected chemistry marks. So let me close this project. Very important. After this, we are going to group. We'll go with dollar group. And what we are going to do is we are going to use any ID. We're not going to use any ID. We're just going to find the maximum in the chemistry mark. So the ID will be null. See, only when you're grouping by registration number or name, you just give this group ID field. Here it is null. The next thing what we're going to do is we're going to say max mark. Max mark is what? We have to use the operator $max. And for which field we are going to use here, we should not forget this $cat1.chem. So this we are going to close this group and then close the aggregate method. Hope this one works. So max mark in chemistry is 63. So we have 63, 10 and 30. Got this query work fine, no issues. So we have identified the maximum mark in chemistry by just playing with a nested document here. So I hope you guys were able to follow this. The next query we have is a tricky query. I want you to find the sum of marks for every student. So it's like Satish, what is the total marks? For Ram, what is the total marks in Cat 1? For Tom, what is the total marks in Cat 1? Can you try that? So for every student, you have to display the name of the student and then the total marks scored by that student. It's a little different than what we have done so far. Let me type that query here. So what you're going to do is we're going to use the aggregate method, student dot aggregate. And then what we are going to do, the very first thing, I will do a project. What all things I'm going to project here? First is I want name, because for every name I want to find the total marks, right? So I'll project name. And then I want total marks, so I will project every field inside the nested document. So I will do cat1 dot max colon 1 and cat1 dot chemistry colon 1. Say there can be a different way of doing this too, but I'm just sharing with you what I have achieved. Cat1 dot English, so colon 1. So do you really want to project like this and group? Yeah, you can be able directly go ahead and group too. But I am projecting, I'm just leaving out the registration number, which is not needed in my query. I mean in the output. So I'm projecting all these things and closing. The next thing is we are going to go with group. So it is a dollar group. And what we are going to do here is here we are going to use an ID. So it's the ID is for every name we are going to do, right? So it's going to be dollar name. So for every name, I want to group and find what? I want to find the sum of all the marks. So here it is total marks we are going to get. And how you find the total marks? For that we have to use one operator called $sum as usual. But what we are going to do now is we are going to use another operator $add, and this operator takes an array of all the marks that we are going to sum. So what all marks we are going to sum? It's going to be dollar. You should never forget that. I forget this dollar cat1 dot max. And then I'm just giving all the marks that we are going to add here for every student. Dollar again, dollar cat1 dot chemistry, comma, again we have to give dollar cat1 dot English. Okay. And then close the array. Now you have to close this group. So 3 parentheses you have to give, and then we have to close the aggregate method. So this should actually give the total marks for every student. Let's see whether this one works. I have missed something somewhere. That should, maybe I didn't close a thing or what. I had to check. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, God. This curly bracket kills me. So this is a bracket which I've forgotten, I guess. This is not the query. this query is somewhere over here. I have to copy this again. Just please give me a second. Since I didn't execute it, it's not in my. Check whether I'm able to copy this. Okay, let's close this bracket now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, got over this issue. So it says Satish scored 100 marks. We'll have to verify that really did he score 100. So we talk about Satish, max 50, chemistry 30, English 20. So 100. For this guy, it is 32, 20, 10, and 2. And for this guy, it is 63, 20, 83, and 285. So for every student, we're able to find the sum of marks. Like that, we can also do other operations. So that's how you work with a nested document in MongoDB. You can make it as complex as possible by nesting many levels and breaking your head as much as possible, but we'll stop it here. I think this itself is quite a little complex. What is this array of nested documents? You can have something like this. Say you have a document containing ID name. Now marks is an array. So you see the symbol here, square bracket. So we all are convinced that marks is an array, and inside this array we have multiple nested documents. So I am storing the marks of cat1 as the first element in the array. So this is a nested document. So this is a nested document, and these two nested documents are resting inside my array. So it becomes an array of nested documents. So how to work with an array of nested documents is the next question. I know things get very complex after this stage. We'll stop with certain simple queries while you're working with array of nested documents. Just we'll understand how to access elements within an array of nested documents. So let me take up the exercises. I have taken up some exercises here. Display the marks scored by Satish. So all the cat1 and cat2 marks for Satish. Display only the cat1 marks for Satish. And we'll also go with display the cat1 max mark and cat2 max mark of Satish. Display the cat2 chemistry mark for all the students. Display the maximum marks scored in chemistry in cat2. So again, when you talk about maximum, we're going to talk about the aggregation pipeline. So this is what we are going to do. Please take down all these queries and you can start working. I'll try and solve these things now. I hope you're able to see my screen, and let me clear the screen. I have created this students one dot find. So I have created the collection with that kind of nesting. Okay, let me do it as pretty. So now you're able to see the array of nested documents. We have two students having cat1, cat2 marks for both these students. So now let's take up some query. Display all the marks for Satish. How will you do this? Very simple, straightforward, right? db dot students one dot find, and we have a name field here. So name colon Satish. Okay, and here it's going to bring all the marks. So let's stop it. So we are able to bring an entire array of nested documents pertaining to Satish. The next query is display only the English marks scored in cat1 by Satish. Display only the English marks scored in cat1 examination by Satish. So what is the English mark he has scored? 80 marks he has scored. We have to only display that. So for that we have to do db dot students one dot find. Then obviously we have a search criteria here, that is Satish. And then we have a project criteria too, that is we have to display the English or chemistry marks. It's English marks, right? Let's display that. How will you display this? It say the nested document is array of nested documents denoted as marks. So you given quotes marks dot, you have to go with cat1. So first we give cat1 and then which mark we want inside cat1. We want the English mark. So you give English and then colon 1. So it's again dot we are going to use marks dot cat1 dot English. So you see, Satish has scored 80 marks. That's what is getting displayed here. So that's how you access a nested document within an array. Got it? Can you display the chemistry marks for all the students? Can you write the query? Display the chemistry marks for all the students. I should not have pressed enter. Let me clear screen, not me, no need to clear. So display the chemistry marks for all the students. So it's db.students1.find and for all the students, so no search here. And how will you display chemistry marks? It's in the marks array dot cat1 dot chemistry. We'll display the chemistry marks in cat1 for all the students. So that's it. So we have two records in cat1. He scored 88 and then another student scored 28 marks. Anything else we have that we should be able to work on? What is the next query? Can you guys recollect? Okay, we did English name. We'll take a next query like display the cat1 max mark and cat2 max mark for Satish. Display the cat1 max mark and cat2 max mark for Satish. How will you perform this? So we have to display. So it's db.students1.find and the name is Satish here. So that's not a problem. The project comes here. In the project, what we are going to do is in the marks array in cat1, we are going to display max. So we will close this project it. And we are also going to do marks array dot cat2 dot max. We'll also project this and then we'll close this. Yeah. So you're able to see that here we are displaying cat1 marks and also cat2 marks corresponding to the max subject for this student Satish. Got it? Any questions here? I think these are very pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, let's go to the final query before we wind up for today's class. Display the maximum marks scored in the chemistry subject. Display the maximum mark scored in the chemistry subject in cat1. What is the maximum mark scored in the chemistry subject in cat1? So how can we achieve this? We have to use the aggregate method. Let's go to db.students1.aggregate and what we are going to do is we are going to display it the maximum marks scored in chemistry. So we are only focused on the chemistry marks in cat1. So I'll do a project, $project, and then what we are going to display is in the marks array in cat1 for the chemistry subject alone, you just move it to the next stage. Okay. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to use $group. It's $group. Here, there is no ID. We're not going to group it by name or registration, nothing like that. It's going to be just the maximum mark here. So I'll have the ID to be null, and then I'll say max chemistry mark. And here you have to use this operator $max, $max, and very important thing, which for which you're going to find the max for the records that you're getting it from the previous stage, that is $max dot cat1 dot chemistry. And you close all the brackets here and the aggregate method. Hope this should work. Yeah. So you see here, chemistry we had 88 and 28. The maximum is 88. Okay. So that's how you work with nested documents, and you work with an array of nested documents